All right, so hello all. My name is Shiva Raja. I'm the technical solutions architect at HYCU. Been with the company for more than 3 years now, and today I'd like to talk about our HYCU's multi-cloud data protection solution that is focused on protecting containerized applications on Google Kubernetes engine. But before I do that, I just wanted to give a quick introduction about who we are. So our company is headquartered out of Boston. We have more than 300 plus employees worldwide. And we basically started with supporting ACI-based platforms, and now we have come to a stage where we are more than just supporting on-prem workloads. We support public cloud vendors like Google Cloud, Azure, and soon AWS, and we will be we are hosting our solution as a service, and we also protect not just your typical virtual machines, but also containerized applications. And the reason why we are able to offer this solution across the board in a single unified screen is because of our engineering team. We actually have our engineers with a strong pedigree of creating data protection solutions. We've actually had engineering teams that have created data protection solutions for blue chip companies that have been on a top backup and recovery solutions on Gartner's Magic Quadrant. So obviously, we are extremely strong in that domain, and that is exactly why we are able to provide you a multi-cloud data protection solution across the globe, right? I mean, even if you have your on-prem workloads or your workloads running on Google Cloud or Azure or even AWS, we will be able to provide you this single pane of glass to protect all of your workloads from one single screen. And we have a pretty good worldwide customer base. I mean, we have customers across like more than 75 countries, and we have more than 2,500 customers across the globe. So with that being said, let me just get into the quick architectural overview of how HYCU protects your containerized applications running on Google. Now, before I go there, this is our first little step when it comes to supporting containerized applications. Our first step is supporting GKE workloads, but by the end of this year, we actually have a roadmap of supporting containerized applications running on Azure, AWS, and we will also support on-prem Kubernetes workloads such as Nutanix Carbon or Red Hat OpenShift. So we have a lot in the roadmap that we will be offering by the end of this year. So for GKE, one of our cool aspects is our solution is hosted as purely a service, right? All you have to do is basically go to Google Cloud Marketplace and hit the subscribe button, and you will be able to instantaneously subscribe to our solution. All you have to do is basically provide your Google Cloud Service account and your billing account, and that's pretty much about it. Because once you do that, we will make use of your Google Cloud's identity access management. And by making use of Google's IAM, you can actually log in to our user interface by making use of your Google Cloud account. And we will be able to discover all of your underlying projects, all of your workloads that are running within your Google Cloud, Google Compute Engine, your Google Kubernetes Engine, and also your unstructured data hosted within your Google Cloud storage. Now, obviously, in this particular session, I'll be focusing more on the Google Kubernetes Engine, but that is the best part, right? I mean, we can discover all of your workloads from a single pane of glass and protect them to your Google Cloud storage in an auto-tiered fashion. I mean, if you have any auto-tiering policies set, we will be able to tier them in a seamless fashion. I mean, we can discover all of your standard, nearline, cold line, and archive tiers and move those backups based on their age to the appropriate tiers. And even if you have any on-prem workloads, you don't have to worry about that because we can support all of your on-prem backups and move them seamlessly to your Google Cloud storage, not only in the form of backups, but also fail them over to your Google Cloud infrastructure. But focusing on just GKE environment, let me just double click on how we support your GKE environment, right? So on your Google Cloud, when you have your containers launched with the help of your GKE cluster, we will be able to not just discover your entire GKE cluster, we will be able to discover them based on the applications that are running within your containers. And if these applications are spanning across multiple GKE worker nodes, not an issue, because we will still be able to discover that as one single application that's spread across multiple nodes. And we will also be able to discover the underlying PVCs or the persistent disks that are attached to those individual worker nodes. So when you protect that as a persistent, when you protect that persistent application as one single entity, we will be able to track down the required, the configuration files for that application, the required PBCs and the underlying PDs that span across the entire cluster. So that is how seamless our application is. So I'm going to show a very short demo, shouldn't be more than 5 minutes, but I'll be covering the following use cases. Now, how do we go about protecting your GKE environment? How do you go about recovering your GKE environment? And how can we offer true migration and DR capabilities, right? So I'm just going to do a quick switch. Again, I just want to confirm, Ron, are you able to see my web browser here?
See, I've got HYCU and the Milky Way.
Perfect, thank you. So as I mentioned before, all you have to do is if you have any workloads running on Google Cloud, especially persistent containers running on Google Cloud, you can always check our solution out. We offer 14-day free trial. All you have to do is just go to the Google Cloud Marketplace and subscribe to our solution, and that's it. We will be able to instantaneously discover your environment. You don't have to go about doing any manual configuration or deployment or none of that manual installation is required, especially when it comes to protecting your workloads on your Google Cloud. As you can see here, I'm logging in using my Google Cloud ID and making use of Google's identity access management. HYCU is basically able to log into the entire account based on my permissions, and based on that, I will be able to view the required workloads and the containers that I'm authorized to work on. So in this instance, I'm not going to get into too many details. I'm just going to quickly drill down to applications, because this is the place where I can discover not just the applications running within my virtual machines, but I can also discover applications running within my GKE cluster. So all I have to do is just do a quick filter. And when I just do a filter based on GKE application, there you go. So these are the containerized applications that I'm running within my service account in Google, right? And when it comes to backup and recovery options, it's pretty simple and straightforward. All I have to do is just select those specific applications and click on policies, and I'll be able to apply any out-of-the-box backup policies, or I can create my own policies with my own RPO or RTO settings, and they will be protected automatically. And when it comes to data recovery, it's even more flexible. The reason why I say that is because when you try to recover your containerized application, you can restore an entire application, or you can restore those individual persistent disks within your entire PVC, or you will be able to restore those individual YAML files. If you feel like your application configuration or your golden template has been corrupted because of some reason, you don't have to worry about that, because you basically have HYCU that not just protects your application or your persistent disks, but also your entire set of configuration files. And just think about this, right? I mean, if you basically are having a development team that's just launching hundreds and hundreds of containerized applications across multiple locations, and let's say if there's some kind of a corruption within the configuration file, or for some reason the golden template has been corrupted, or for some reason the install or the deployment of a specific container has been corrupted, you don't have to worry about that, because we basically have backed up not just your persistent containers or your applications, but also your entire set of your configuration, your blueprint YAML files. So you actually have the ability to not just restore these entire set of containers to the source cluster, you can also restore them to a target cluster. So if there's a cluster-wide failure, you still have this option of building out that new GKE cluster and simply restore all of those applications within this new cluster, and they will just run fine. So that is how flexible we are when it comes to protecting your GKE workloads. I mean, you don't have to do anything when it comes to deployment. We can discover them automatically. We discover them as an application, and all you have to do is simply protect them by choosing the right policy, and that's it. So let me just get back to my view. So to summarize, please, I know I've spent an extremely short amount of time when it comes to showcasing how we protect our Kubernetes workloads. I can keep going on and on, but I'd like to keep the amount of time that I have at hand. So I would like to leave you with the set of pointers that you can basically reach out to, or check us out, so that you can know more about how we protect your containerized applications. And as I mentioned before, we have started our journey in the world of containers with GKE, but we have a lot to offer. By the end of this year, we should be offering support for Azure. We should be offering support for AWS containerized workloads. We should be able to support Nutanix Carbon and Red Hat's OpenShift. So if you'd like to find out more about what we offer, please check us out at tryhaiku.com. We will be able to help you out with a free demo. You can actually download our solution, or we can even help you in subscribing to our solution on your Google Cloud website. You can also reach us out at info@haiku.com. So if you have any questions about our solution, or if you'd like to know more about what we have to offer, simply send an email to info@haiku.com, and we'll be able to help you out. Or you simply go to www.haiku.com to know more about what we offer, right? I mean, we are a true multi-cloud data protection solution, and there's tons of information about what we do to protect your hybrid cloud infrastructure. So with that being said, that was my quick, short session. Any questions, or are there any questions on the chat?
John, I don't see any now. I just want to mention a couple of things, as we've heard HYCU present a few times. The good thing about this solution is, again, when you're developing applications, you've got to be worried about your data. And God forbid anything gets compromised, HYCU is a very relevant solution to make sure that your data integrity is maintained. It's a big deal. Yes. And the other good thing, and we've seen this with a number of different organizations, many people have some kind of backup protection in place already. This gets a lot more complicated when you're going to the cloud, when you've got on-prem data, data in motion, data at rest, data in use, data in multiple clouds. It's really tricky. And I know the good thing, when I've referred various people to Shiva and his team, is that they can work with you to figure out, how do we migrate some of your current solutions? How can we complement some of your primary storage? And how do you develop a reasonable workflow, if you like their approach better than some of your existing platform, how you can verify that. And the good thing is, I will tell you, people just hate doing backup testing when it comes right down to it. People know they need to have the right backup in the data, but no one really wants to spend a week in testing things out. And we've seen a lot of people say, when I use HYCU, I don't really have to schedule it so religiously because their stuff works. And I don't know if you want to add anything else, Shiva, before we move along.
We basically go by this, thank you very much, Ron. That's a very good point. So we basically go by this whole notion of making backups invisible, right? And we do this in several forms. As Ron mentioned, I mean, number one is we host our solution purely as a service, meaning that you as an end user don't even have to worry about how the solution has to be deployed, how it has to be configured, or even you don't have to worry about sizing. I mean, think about, especially in the world of containers, you would actually have containers crawling across multiple zones or multiple regions, or even within the same region or zone. You will be having hundreds and hundreds of containerized applications because of their flexibility and because of their their simplicity, right? And to protect a true containerized workload, you need a solution that is easily scalable, just like your containerized workloads. And I would basically go as far as saying that HYCU truly follows the microservices architecture, where our solution is basically layered in such a way that we are truly scalable in a cloud scale architecture, right? And in addition to that, when it comes to protecting these workloads, you don't even have to go about, specifying them in a painful multi-click wizard. All you have to do is just specify your application and just protect them. Or you can even go about automating them by specifying rules on how these applications need to be protected, and boom, right? Your backup truly become invisible.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. No one wants to worry about it. It just works.